don't lose your job. Engaging, your community is very important. Connection, at the end of the day, I think it's important to connect back to the ground, real world actions, armchair critics and all that. But look at Alex. He went and he talked to people, and then he's an activist on the ground, and I think that comes across. So the work is never done. And if your $200 is fulfilled, your fundraising is met for one day, what's your next one? You have to move on to the next step. And I think that's really the work is never done. No rest for the wicked, and we're quite wicked actually. So the revolution continues. Now you have your social media platforms. Like social networking tools. I started my own social networking for all nature bloggers in Singapore. It kind of failed. I'm constantly experimenting. I really think I'm here just to share with you what I've been experimenting and trying out. So there's really so many that you can work with. Choose wisely. Can you even see Facebook on there? I mean, it's like right here. Small little tiny one, okay? And recently I kind of refocused my work to Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. So before you pick your medium, your tool, your form, how you want to express yourself, think of your objective. You want to create a flash mob protest. You want to create just to generate support, or do you want fundraising, awareness campaigns, and all kinds of things, right? So I think this thing about digital divide, we've talked about translating blogs. I think in Singapore that's important. We tend to forget the people who don't read English in Singapore. How do you reach out to people who are above 60? And Chinese how do you translate your online efforts to real life actions? How do you engage real life dialogue? I think I was quite excited one time when I just blogged about the quarry being open on Pulau Ubin, and I actually did like my own artist impression of how that place will look like if a quarry was open. And the press actually looked me up and said, could we use your image? And I'm like, I had just made this up. I mean, based on whatever geographical studies I had. But later on, I even got invited to this closed door session with like the Minister of the State of, okay, never mind. One of those, I'm sorry. But yeah, point is, I think once you write something, people know you're interested, they will call you. If you don't call them, so. Okay, quick recap, so there's a whole bunch of things. I think for me, it's always to keep experimenting. I really think that internet tools are constantly coming up. Some things might be interesting to try for now. It might die out, phase out. And I think that you need to look at your long-term objective. Okay, maybe my long-term objective is to make improvement in environment in Singapore. But what is my immediate plan? Okay, I think that's important. Immediate plans. Tangible action, always make sure you're connecting it back to real life action. What is your approach? You want to be the nice guy, the evil one, the fierce one, the crazy ranter? Do you want to come across as never want to work with government, or do you want to come across as I'm the government's friend, come and work with me? And that's very important. You want to, and then collaborate with your friends, or even if it's not a spoken collaboration, it's useful to know what other people are doing so that you don't double up. Don't ever waste your efforts doing the same thing. Make sure that you're approaching from different angles. So this is where the guerrilla tactic works in Singapore. It's actually quite important. It's been said that Chek Jawa happened because of a guerrilla tactic. People were attacking from all areas, inside the government, outside the government, and all kinds of things. So that's helpful. And that's why, going back to Sean's thing about guerrilla tactics, it does happen in Singapore, I'm telling you. So let's see what he said that actually can tell you that it happened. So we hijack, right? We don't let people forget, things like that. And about intimidation, we get people doing that to us. So for example, we were anti-poachers. The poachers come to our blog and spam us. So what do? Okay, first you can spam back. You can go to their forums and try to talk to them. Or actually what we found is most successful is let the enemy be your community, which is what I'm citing him. What we actually did is we welcome them. We want them to comment. Don't delete their comments, respond to them. And then eventually you find that they look kind of similar. And what we do is actually we have somebody who infiltrated Stomp. So you know Stomp is full of all these kind of articles, right? Rubbish. We have people talking about like how you should, like they saw a monitor lizard and it says a crocodile. So we have a guy who's really brave. He goes to Stomp and he actually replies them logically. And you know this is really helpful. Nobody dares to do it except him. And I just admire his courage to face all these things every day, okay? So yeah, and building reputation within the community with other people, and just try to sustain your efforts. So, right, I think we're only limited by our creativity. And if you want, you can contact me. I have my Twitter, my blog, my email. Originally, I wanted to do something a bit more interactive. So I wanted you guys to come up with some projects you have, and then we can brainstorm together to see what will work for you. I don't know if you guys want to do that. Do I have time?
Got a few minutes.
Or should we just do a question?
5 minutes.
Right. So, do you have anybody
I think
who?
it would be interesting to hear if anyone has a concrete project that you want to share.
Have you run any campaigns? You know,
Or especially if you want to embark on something, or you just started something.
Don't bring sharks in.
Right. Is that something that you're doing, or?
We've done it before.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's active any longer. I used to belong to a scuba diving club. We used to, that was years ago.
Was it
before all this technology?
Oh, it's not an online thing. Right. So there's actually online efforts. If you're interested to know, there are such campaigns. Actually, ACRES, they don't have a blog, but they're on Facebook. They even went to Hong Lim and they did something in person, and it's a combined effort, online petition and whatnot. But yeah, I know that I think they can do more. I think a lot of efforts can be translated online. But honestly, the environmental NGOs, not all of them are very web savvy yet. And we're trying to get that happening. Yeah. But is there anybody who wants to just, I mean, this is a chance where we can sort of talk about your projects and.
So it's free consultancy service.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I wanted to do.
Actually, about 1 or 2 years ago, there was this guy who back in Malaysia, who's Youngjan, and he tried to start this project, right, called Wiki Malaysia. And the goal was to encourage people to use Wiki, to contribute more to Wikipedia, which is actually part of the web activism. So, just to get people, Malaysians, to communicate more with each other, and possibly found our own own wiki of Malaysia. It started on Facebook. When we started up, we got something like 300 odd members, and there were some people who were actually quite interested. I was interested in it because I'm a political science student, and I've seen efforts elsewhere in the States and in China, but these are all run by academicians. And what they did was they were collaboratively keeping track of politicians' actions and decisions, so that you have this profile, right? In America, it's called reverse Facebook or something like that. Where, instead of you putting up your profile, people build your profile for you. And so, you know how the Americans have this really good track record of that. Oh, this politician, he voted this way for this many things, and he voted that way for that many things. We don't have that kind of things, even though we are a democracy, and so Malaysia is democratic too. We don't have that kind of resources, and that was my stake in Wiki Malaysia. And I started out for a while right after the elections, 2008, but I don't know, nobody kind of wanted to do it further. It was like, besides me, there was like probably 1 or 2 other edits done by somebody else, but it kind of fizzled out after a month.
It happens a lot, really. It happens a lot. I mean, even within my own NGO, we just tried to have a wiki for our own notes, okay? I mean, forget it. I mean, sometimes we try to experiment and then it fails. That you need to rethink what went wrong. So how do you, I mean, like, do you think it's because people weren't interested, or you're just not, too much work